If you have a static situation with nothing changing, and you get one opinion one day, and then a week later you change it, that's flip-flopping. When you have a dynamic situation that's evolving week to week and month to month, as a scientist, to be true to yourself and to be true to the discipline of science, you have to collect data as the situation evolves, which almost invariably will necessitate your changing policy, changing guidelines, changing opinion. And that's exactly what happened with things like mask wearing. We didn't know until, weeks and weeks into the outbreak that a lot of the transmission was by people who were without symptoms. And it was that made the CDC and all of us say, we really don't need to be wearing masks. As soon as we found out that A, there was no shortage, B, we were getting good data that outside of the hospital setting, masks did work. And 3, we found out that 50% of the infections were transmitted from someone who had no symptoms. When you put all those 3 things together, then the science tells us everybody should be wearing a mask.
As a species, humans simply adore certainty. It has always made us feel less vulnerable, and we rush into certainty's embrace to escape the uncomfortable doubt that exists in our world. Certainty is powerful. It allows us to hold a position of power and of influence over the chaos inherent in our universe. But what if certainty has diminished our capacity to wonder, to re-examine, and to see beyond our own answers? What if the true answers we seek lie just beyond the answers we thought we had? What if we have been wrong about something important all along? If we live inside too much certainty, if we fail to question deeply, we're going to miss the critical solutions we need to survive. If we want to be problem solvers, we have to avoid certainty and get comfortable with doubts. Hello, I'm Zainab Salbi, founder of Women for Women International. Thank you for joining me to explore this series, Becoming Better Ancestors. In 1980, the World Health Organization declared the world free from smallpox. Smallpox had been responsible for hundreds of millions of deaths. But now the world, all its people, and future generations are free from smallpox. In this series, we are learning 9 lessons from global health to change the world from the heroes who wiped out smallpox from the face of our planet. These extraordinary efforts to eradicate smallpox have never been more relevant as countries struggle to control the COVID-19 pandemic, and we humans face unprecedented threats. To be good ancestors, we need to leave the world better than when we found it. But it's hardly simple. We can start by learning critical lessons from those who have achieved major change in our world to guide us today and into tomorrow. As humans, we need to prepare for future threats. We need to be less certain that our survival is a given. In the history of our universe, of our planet, the long-term survival of any species is not guaranteed. We face challenges that require us to think beyond our lifespans, to the impact we will have on future generations. What kind of world do we want to leave? How will they judge us for what we did or didn't do when we had the chance? Do we turn our backs on the future or choose to become good ancestors? Throughout these 9 lessons from global health to change the world, we will explore essential lessons learned from smallpox eradication, hearing from key experts on how each lesson has been applied or used as we prepare for future global health threats. This is Lesson 4, Avoid Certainty. It is the Achilles heel of science. Dr. Susmita Parashar is a cardiologist at the Emory Heart and Vascular Center, an associate professor of medicine at Emory University School of Medicine. She is a passionate clinician researcher and educator and trains medical students, residents, and cardiology fellows. In addition to being an accomplished medical figure in her own right, Dr. Parashar's career was inspired by her father-in-law and mentor, Dr. Mahendra Datta, who was a field expert working for the Indian government during the height of the smallpox epidemic in India. He ultimately rose to become India's Deputy Director General of Public Health. President Jimmy Carter appointed Dr. Fauci as director of the U.S. Center for Disease Control in 1977. He has spent his life finding and fighting diseases around the world. In 2012, President Barack Obama awarded Dr. Fauci the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor for his work in global health, in particular for helping to eradicate smallpox.
In the face of an epidemic, if you have a vaccine, there are various ways to approach it. The most common is to vaccinate as many people as you can to protect them from the epidemic. And this makes sense for measles and polio and hepatitis and other things. With smallpox, there was a shortcut that could be taken. Instead of doing mass vaccination, it was possible to find out where is the smallpox virus, who's at risk today and this week of contracting the virus, and vaccinate just those people.
But mass vaccination just wasn't working in poor countries in Africa and Asia, and smallpox outbreaks were common and devastating. Yet these countries were fully committed to the mass vaccination strategy, with so much certainty that this approach went unquestioned. They had been mass vaccinating for 150 years. It had become part of their culture. The more affluent countries, on the other hand, like the US, the UK, and most of Europe, had already achieved herd immunity, but not through mass vaccination. These countries had actually combined mass vaccination with a swift response to any new case should one be discovered, a surveillance and a containment strategy. This method involves rapid response, identifying cases, quarantining those cases, and quickly vaccinating every possible contact.
The great physicist Richard Feynman said that certainty is the Achilles heel of science. If you are certain about something, you stop searching. And so certainty can be a brake on the scientific method. There's no reason to get more information. There's no reason to try to find truth because we're certain. Well, with smallpox, mass vaccination had been used for so long that there was a certainty about it that this is the way to do it. To do mass vaccination first, then do surveillance containment. And what we demonstrated was you could forget about the first part of the strategy and go right to surveillance containment.